Hello, and welcome to SoCo Chat, a podcast where we discuss all things concerning the County of Sonoma. I'm your host, Paul Gullickson, Communications Manager for the County of Sonoma. In today's segment of SoCo Chat, we're going to dig deeper into an issue that's been in the news recently. But before we do, we want to remind you about our weekly trivia question. Be the first to answer today's SoCo Chat question, and you'll receive one of our new SoCo Chat coffee mugs. Don't want to miss these. At the end of today's segment, I'll let you know the trivia question itself and as well as how you can submit your answer. So please stay tuned. Some of you may have seen in the news recently, in the Press Democrat in particular, about the high number of staff vacancies the county is facing these days and the impact this reduction in workforce is having on the county's ability to serve residents. It's an important issue, not just because the county is the single largest employer in the county, but because people rely on the county for a host of critical health, safety, and social services. The county, as with many government agencies and businesses as well, and we'll be talking about that, never really has full employment. People are always coming and going, but usually the vacancy rate is around 4 or 5%, is about right.
The vacancy rate is typically around 9%.
About a little higher than that for the county in particular. Yeah. But today it's been hovering around 12.5%. It's been up to 14%, which no doubt is putting strain on the county's ability to deliver services. To discuss the issue further with us today, we're pleased to have county's Human Resources Director, Janell Crane. Janell, welcome. Thank you for being on SoCo Chat.
Thanks for having me,
and helping
Paul.
us break in our studio here.
Absolutely. Happy to be here.
Yeah. Well, let's get started. On the first issue is, if you don't mind, just for our listeners, explain what is your position? What is your job?
Sure. I'm the Director of Human Resources.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm lucky enough to lead a team of about 65 people who we do things from recruitment and classification work, as well as risk management, workforce development, employee and labor relations, serving our employees. So we have about 4,500 county employees at this point.
And that's that's a city unto itself in many respects. And that covers a variety of areas, right? I mean, that we have 27 different departments. We have the water agency, open space district, parks, so many different areas. I don't know if people often understand how big the county is.
Yeah. And actually, we have over 800 unique jobs. So that's one of the really amazing things about the county. You can come to work for the county and start your career in one area and move to another and really spend an entire career like I have within the county and do a lot of different things that serve our community.
Yeah. Well, we're going to talk more later on about career opportunities at the county because this is certainly that opportunity. But first, let's dive into the issue itself. Why does the county see so many vacancies right now, in your mind?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of reasons. I think the low unemployment rate is a big issue, and a lot of that comes out of the pandemic. During the pandemic, people hunkered down. Then we had the Great Reshuffle, Great Resignation. A lot of people went and tried new things or changed and decided to stay home instead of being in the workforce. That unemployment rate, though, really does impact our ability to get candidates. So we're seeing now that those numbers are starting to turn, but all of those issues have affected not only us, but certainly other local jurisdictions as well as the private sector. Yeah. Everyone's really struggling when it comes to hiring.
And we've been through a lot, not just with the COVID pandemic, which the world has gone through, but we have going back to the fires of 2017, Tubbs, and then right after that came, Kincaid, Walbridge, Glass. Then we had floods and other things. So we've been through a lot as a county.
Absolutely.
And I know that's taken its toll on our workforce and on a number of different levels. But on top of that, we also have what we had anticipated. I think the number is 10,000 baby boomers are turning 65 every day.
Right.
And across the nation, of course. And that's taking its toll. You're seeing a lot of people for the county reaching retirement age, right?
Yes, absolutely. And our turnover rate's a little higher than usual because of that. And so we are seeing people that are leaving and retiring. I do want to mention, though, that it's not across the board in every department that we're seeing these vacancies at this level. We have a few kind of key areas. There are some primary departments that are impacted more than others.
Yeah, let's
So,
talk about that.
yeah.
What are some of those departments where we're really seeing higher vacancy rates?
Both of our detention facilities, so the juvenile hall as well as our main adult detention facility, so our detention staff, we're seeing high vacancy rates there, as well as our both health and human services departments, and only in specific jobs. So some of those either niche positions or positions that require some certification.
Yeah, skilled.
That's really where we're seeing it.
Yeah. And speaking of the sheriff's office, I mean, I hear sheriff's offices all around the Bay Area broadcasting openings that they have now. So that's kind of law enforcement across the board is struggling to find people, right?
Absolutely. Actually, I just saw a news report that showed Alameda County is really struggling. They have a $75,000 hiring incentive for their law enforcement agency, and even that's not enough for them to be able to encourage people to apply. So, yeah, it's everywhere.
Well, and that speaks to another issue that's been a challenge is the cost of living. Housing is expensive. It makes it difficult to live in Sonoma County, but certainly it's a little bit cheaper here than it is in Alameda County and some of the five closest Bay Area counties, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, that's an ongoing issue as we talked about with Chair Rabbit and we'll continue to talk about on here about the housing challenges. Well, let's talk about what obviously Sonoma County is not alone in what we're going through, as we just mentioned. What is your sense of how other counties are experiencing this?
So last month there was a study that came out from UC Berkeley that really looked at three other counties and also mentioned a fourth, the city and county of San Francisco. And in those cases, I think there was Los Angeles County, San Diego County. I'm struggling to remember the third, and then city and county of San Francisco. All had vacancy rates actually higher than the county of Sonoma from where we stand today. So we're at just like about 11.82.
Oh, is it? Okay.
So it's improving.
So it is improving.
It's improving.
Yeah.
And they all have a 12 or higher vacancy rate in those counties. So yeah, just as an example.
Yeah. Well, and I just want to make the point, it's not just government agencies that are experiencing this. It's across the board, businesses as well. I mean, I went to a Starbucks yesterday at 2:00 in the afternoon on a Thursday, and there was a sign on the door saying, "I'm sorry, but we don't have the staff to stay open." And this is not the first time I've encountered something like this. So we have a labor force issue, and it's manifesting itself in many ways like this. So there's always another Starbucks to be found.
I was just going to say, I hope you got a cup of coffee somewhere because that's
I needed it. Yeah, trust me, I found my coffee. Yeah, don't worry about me. But, there's also, just to back up to COVID, as we also have a number of employees that just disappeared during COVID. I mean, there was a Bloomberg News report about how there's millions of workers that are still missing from the labor force, and some that retired early, obviously, but then there are others that just sort of have disappeared. I think one estimate found at least 2.1 million workers retired early, and another millions more just disappeared from the payrolls.
Yeah, I think people really did reevaluate their lives during COVID, and some people found that they were able to get by on a single income if they have young children. There's all sorts of reasons that people reevaluated their lives, but it's definitely taking a toll on the job market. I think the one positive that came out of the pandemic for us as a county is that it did push us in a way to telework in a way that we probably wouldn't have without the pandemic. And so I think we would have gotten there eventually. But what it did was show us that actually we can do it. And so we implemented a telework policy, and a lot of people can actually telework in our county jobs now. Not every job. And some of those jobs we talked about where we're struggling are places where we can't allow
we don't have an option
It's
to do
not
that.
an option.
Yeah.
You have to be here. But there's a lot of flexibility in many of the jobs that we have now.
Yeah.
And so that was one positive that came out of the pandemic.
Well, and what I'm hearing and experiencing is that younger people coming into the workforce, they want those telework
Absolutely.
options, right?
Absolutely. They're looking for flexibility of all kinds.
Yeah.
They're looking for telework, different types of schedules. They also really seem to be interested in trying different jobs. So coming in one job and then trying another job, which is the reason why I think the county is a perfect choice, because we have such a vast array of, jobs that they can do, and criminal justice, parks, water, social work. I mean, we just have so many options.
Yeah. Well, as you mentioned, the real challenges are if for those positions where we don't have an option of people working
Yes,
telecommute, we
absolutely.
need to be on site, and we have a number of those because the county, we don't have the option of just closing shop like a
Absolutely.
Starbucks. We have to provide those services, and so in particular, you mentioned sheriff's offices, mental health services, economic assistance programs we offer. We have to keep figuring out ways to do that, and many times the impact of that is overtime, having to
Yes.
pay overtime. And I know the Press Democrat stories mentioned that the county has spent nearly $89 million in overtime costs during that 3-4 year period from 2020 to 2023, which is significant. But we also know that there's, as much as we want to fill those positions, there has been a net savings from those vacancies, right?
That's true.
Do you-
Yeah, about $314 million in salary savings during the same period
Right.
of time. So it
Yeah.
is offset.
So it's not a direct impact on. It's not like taxpayers are paying more for that overtime. There is a savings there, a savings we would rather not
A
have.
savings we'd rather not have, absolutely.
Yeah.
There are costs outside of dollars and cents, of
Right.
course.
Yeah,
But there is an offset.
yeah, and the impacts obviously are longer waits for people, residents coming to the county, wanting having to wait longer for an economic assistance.
Yeah.
CalFresh programs, signing up. It's a longer response times once you do sign up. We recognize that, and we've appealed to the public to be patient. There's also been a transition there to a
Yes.
new program, right? Do you want to talk
I
about
think
that a
it's
little?
called CalSAWS. And
Yeah.
so basically, the Human Services Department, they use a system to help them in the work that they do with the public. And so the state was changing to a new system called CalSAWS. And so what they didn't want to do is bring in a bunch of new employees, train them on the old system, and then have to retrain them immediately on the new system. So they, held off a little bit in their hiring. When we're talking about eligibility specialists or folks that are helping over there, we can run a single recruitment and then hire 25 people. So they do have a lot of resources that are coming in that have just recently come in and been trained.
They've been retrained.
Yeah, so we should start to see that really start to make a difference.
Yeah, and they're actually on. Some of them are in the force now. They're working and
Absolutely.
helping get. They've been trained and ready to go.
And that next group, we just closed another recruitment, so that next group is in the wings.
Yeah. Well, hopefully that'll help to shorten those lines a little bit. Well, then let's talk about what else is the county doing to help address the problem of the vacancies.
There's a lot of different things that we're doing. One of the things we implemented was an incentive program. That incentive program is for hard to fill positions. So if we've had a position that's been vacant for 6 months or a failed recruitment, then we can offer an incentive of between $10,000 and $25,000, depending on the position or the job class, I should say. We also have potential relocation funds or leave advancement that we can give in some of those hard to fill positions. So that we instituted that at the Sheriff's Department in 2022, and then for the entire county for those difficult positions. So that's one of the big initiatives. We're also really looking at kind of redeveloping the pipeline. So during COVID, as you can imagine, we really kind of focused in on our core mission. We were very much doing our primary functions, but those relationships that we have with our local colleges, both Sonoma State University and the Santa Rosa Junior College, as well as high school students, it's really important for us to establish those relationships and get out there and talk to the students. A lot of people don't know what the county does as an employer and the opportunities they have to serve their community. And so we're getting back out there and reestablishing those connections so that we can really build that pipeline to future employment. We're also looking at our current kind of practices and processes and looking for ways that we can be more efficient. there's, certainly the way in which a county government hires is not the same as private industry, right? It's just a different approach. There are some constrictions in the way that we can run our recruitments and do our interviews. So we're looking at those processes for opportunities and places that we can be more efficient where we can. And we also have this wonderful class that we've put together for the public called Start Here. And we're inviting people from the public to come in and learn about the way that we hire, learn best practices, how to fill out an application, the kinds of things that we're looking for.
Yeah.
So that's on our website, and the public is welcome to attend. And we've gotten really good feedback that it's been beneficial for people looking for county employees.
That's great. Yeah, I've heard great things about it too. And
Yeah.
well, just on the dealing with the ramifications of these vacancies, there's also a toll that's taken on employees, right? I mean, especially ones that have been asked to work a lot of overtime, and those, when you have a lot of vacancies department, it can put stress on employees. Are we the county seeing that more?
Absolutely, there's no question. I think employees are our most valued resource at the county.
Yeah.
They're working hard. And they really, it's not like they can just work 8 to 5 and walk away. These jobs, they have to really stay in there and sometimes work a lot of overtime. We did a mental health day last year where we invited employees to come in and take classes. They could come in for a single class or spend the entire day. I recognize that in some cases it's difficult for the employees who are working the overtime or don't have enough resources to participate in things like that.
Yeah.
So we tried to make it in a way that people could just come in for a single session, and we had them, spread throughout the day. We have an employee assistance program, which is obviously very important. It offers counseling services to our employees and their families, because it's not just the employees, it's also their
families deal with this too. Yeah,
absolutely. And then each department really has their own way of supporting their staff. So it wouldn't be fair for me to speak on behalf of all those departments. I think, the sheriff is doing different things with his teams and human services and health services with theirs. But it's definitely top of mind, high priority.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, all of this is creates an opportunity to let the public know that, hey, there are some great career opportunities happening at the county, as you've mentioned. And, there are, a number of people come and work at the county. I mean, you're a career person here at the county.
I am.
When did you start?
I started in January of 1995.
Okay.
So there you go. I've spent my entire adult life here at the county and loved every minute of it, to be perfectly honest. I've held 5 different roles throughout my career here at the county, much of that in risk management and human resources. And I would encourage...
Was that what was that your background when you had studied to get into?
Yes, risk management, absolutely. And so it's a great opportunity, as I said before, to really come in and take a look and move around. Our motto in HR, or our tagline, is room to move, room to grow.
Yeah.
And that is all about the fact that you can come into the county and build a career here and serve your community and feel really positive about the work that you're doing. It's not always easy.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
But you always feel like you're doing something, you're contributing to make a difference in the community. Whether you're an internal service department like we are, we're really servicing the employees in a way that then they can serve the public. And so it doesn't matter if you're a front-facing department or an internal-facing department, you're making a difference in the community.
Well, that mobility is opportunity should be appealing, because we hear more and more about people coming into the labor force, wanting options. They want to be able to move around and to grow. In the old days of somebody, having the same job for their career are long past, and there are those opportunities here. But one of the perceptions, and I come from the private sector, most of my background is in newspapers, journalism, and I only came to the county about 4 years ago. But sometimes there's a perception that, in order to land a county job, a county government job, you have to have a county government job, that it's hard to crack that shell and to get inside. Is that true from your observation?
No, it's not. I mean, I think the important thing that I want to say is I believe that some people self-select themselves out of the process.
Mm-hmm.
And, they look at a job announcement and it can be somewhat overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
But if they really take a look at it and they look at the minimum qualifications that are required and think about the experience they have as well as their education,
Mm-hmm.
if it's something that's interesting to you and if you think that you've got, the minimum qualifications, apply.
Try.
We want as many applications as we can get. And I think by way of example, in 22-23, we had over 19,000 applications come in through human resources. And over 12,000 of those we referred to departments for interviews.
Yeah.
Give it a shot.
Right.
Start here, go take the class, look for the opportunities. We've always got a lot of positions that are posted on our website, Your Path to 2, sonomacounty.org, where we list all of the jobs that we have open. Typically, we've been having about 100 different options. Right now, I think we're about 65, 70, but there are a lot of different jobs. So please go for it.
Well, I think that's good incentive. So,
Yeah.
But I mean, there is a different process in applying to the county. It's not just mail in your resume and we'll call you.
Absolutely.
There are things you need to fill out. You need, my advice, answer the questions, right? Be thorough. Think outside just the box a little bit sometimes, but there are great advice about how to answer, how to properly pitch yourself to these county jobs. And so tell us a little more about this class,
Sure.
Because I think that's such a valuable tool for people to know about.
Yeah, I think one of the big things that people don't realize when they're applying for a county job is that there's a kind of a formal process that we go through. So you fill out your application and typically there's some supplemental questions that you're responding to. And that's really your opportunity to say, here's all the experience that I have and how that experience prepares you for the job that you are applying for, right? So people really need to think about all the different experience they have. When that application comes into our office, our team then looks at it to see whether or not the individuals meet the minimum qualifications.
Right.
So, and as long as the minimum qualifications are met, then it goes through the next phase, which is an application screening test. Now, this isn't every job. Some jobs are, a little bit different depending on the specific job, but primarily most of them go through this process. Something that people may not know is that we redact all the personal identification information from those.
Yeah. So,
and that's to remove any bias, right? So really, when the screeners are looking at those applications, they don't know who you are, if you're male, female. They don't know what college you went to because we remove the name of the institution.
Right.
So you're really just looking at the experience and background of the individual.
And plus, you're protected. You may not want your current employer to know that you're applying for a job, and there's a lot of privacy here.
Yeah.
So that it's only when you get well down the line that we'll ask, "Are you ready to have us contact your employer and ask for a reference or whatever?"
Exactly.
Yeah. And so, they go on the county website to sign up for these classes?
Yes. So both the jobs are listed on the county website, Your Path 2, sonomacounty.org, as well as Start Here is the name of the class. And so when you get to the county's website homepage, in the top right-hand corner, you can click on employment. And when you click on employment, you'll be taken to the page that you need to see all of the opportunities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and we should probably mention that there's also great pay and retirement benefits, health benefits that come along with these positions. There is a defined benefit plan and a 401k plan or a version of a 401k plan that you can be a part of. And so there's a lot of perks that come with being a county employee.
Absolutely. So. And we just last summer negotiated new contracts with all of the unions, and there's cost of living increases that have been negotiated. So great pay, great benefits, and you can be of service to your community. So
absolutely,
there you go.
Absolutely. Well, I think, and is there? Let me just ask: is there a certain type of person you're looking for when you're evaluating for these positions?
No, I mean, I think that's the most important thing that I want to say is. Just apply. There's not a certain type of person. We're looking for people that are service-oriented, hardworking, That's
You can
about
come
it.
from a lot of different communities. You could be new to the county or be a
Yes,
longtime resident. It doesn't-
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, please, everyone apply.
Okay. Well, great. Well, we appreciate you making that clear, and we appreciate you being here today. This has been a
Yeah.
good conversation. So,
Thank you for having me.
as a thank you for being our guest today, we would like to present you with one of our SoCo
Oh,
Chat
yay.
coffee
Great.
mugs. Right?
Nice.
We're pushing our brand out there, and we're excited to share these with our guests.
That's
So,
great.
yeah.
Thank you.
We'd also like to invite you to. Well, we'd also like to invite you to come back on our
Okay.
podcast at a future date, and we can talk more about it. How
Yeah.
how these processes are working. Okay,
Sounds great.
great. To our listeners, we'd also like to give you a chance to win one of our SoCo Chat coffee mugs as well. Be the first person to submit a correct answer to this week's trivia question, and we'll make sure you receive one. Our question for today is this. People often talk about movies that were filmed in Sonoma County, such as The Birds and American Graffiti. But what was the name of the lesser-known movie that was filmed in the 1990s at Santa Rosa Junior College in the old Wagon Wheel Inn? Here's a hint. It featured Robert Duvall. If you know, email your answer to publicaffairs@sonoma-county.org. That's public affairs, one word, sonoma-county.org. Be sure to include your phone number so we can let you know if you won. Thank you again, and be sure to tune in for the next segment of SoCo Chat.